BDC Director, Donica Forencic, and thank you all for coming today to Cabernet Conversation. We often do this event monthly, calling it Coffee and Conversation, but we thought it'd be a nice twist to do something different, especially here in Paso. And it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest, Gretchen Roddick, who is the Executive Vice President of Hope Family Wines, as well as a leader in the Paso Robles wine community. Since joining Hope Family Wines in 1997, Gretchen has played a pivotal role in its evolution from small family-run business into a nationally recognized winery producing nearly 1 million cases annually. Along the way, she has helped the winery earn national awards, including Wine Enthusiast 2022 American Winery of the Year, and has become a champion for the Central Coast wine region. We're excited to have her join us today because she's a Cal Poly grad who started as a seasonal cellar assistant and is now part of the executive leadership at Hope Family Wines and an industry mentor. Please welcome Gretchen Roddick.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I'm glad to have you all here.
Yes, and thank you for bringing us some of your wonderful wine to share with us. So I will going to hand you this wonderful mic, which you can snap on, and I will use this one.
Okay.
This is a very informal Q&A chat, and please feel free to ask questions throughout. I don't want you to hear me and Gretchen just talk the whole time, so we have plenty of time for questions. But we would love to start with, how did you start in the cellar or as a seasonal tasting room associate way back in '97, and just tell us your story till where you are now as EVP.
Okay. So I am originally from the Bay Area, San Jose. So I have a small fun fact. Donica and I actually went to high school together, and we had the
fun fact.
The small world. 30 years later, this has brought us together. So that's really fun for us to be interacting again. After I graduated Cal Poly, I got engaged. My husband's from here. He's a vineyard manager for J. Lohr, born and raised here. So I thought, why not get married, live here in Paso? So back in 1997, I was reading the Classifieds, the newspaper, for any of you that are too young to remember this. But I ripped out the Classified, and there was a position in a brand new tasting room being built. It was a winery called Triana Winery, and it said, I've got a part-time tasting room over on 46 West, and please come interview. So I went in, and it was a paper application. There were no resumes. Did a live interview on the spot and got the job. It was still in construction, and they hired me to be a part-time tasting room attendant. And basically what I did is poured wine, worked at the bed and breakfast, and did the events in the evening. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know it was owned by the Hope family, who I'd met Austin Hope at Cal Poly. And so when he walked in the door, my first week of working, we looked at each other like, what are you doing here? I don't know, what are you doing here? So from that point on, he knew what I had studied at Cal Poly. I studied ag business and fruit science. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. It really was a true part-time job just to keep me busy, make some money while I was getting married. And the Hope family just took me in under their wing. But really what it was the work ethic and the believing in each other. Because what I did is I took a part-time job that was maybe 20 hours, and it was seasonal. So I didn't know if I was going to have a job after that. So from the tasting room, and then come the summer, it was like, well, you want some more hours? Let's put you on a four-wheeler. Let's go do some grape samples. So I worked in the four-wheeler. Then the fall came and harvest came. So then I was shoveling tanks and scooping barrels and dragging hoses. And so really, I think it was the work ethic that my parents taught me, that you're never too big for a job. Please, keep trying to do what you want to do every day. But really, people believe in you. And when they see the work ethic that you have, things will come through. Now, I'm proud to say 28 years later, I'm working for an amazing team. We're very happy with all the people underneath us. They really make our job shine and make me look really good in my job.
So how many cases did they produce back when you first started at the tasting room?
So I don't know how many of you know the wine business, but the Hope family really were growing grapes, and they were suppliers to mainly the Sutter Home White Zinfandel and Gallo White Zin, and they were very much on the forefront of the White Zinfandel phase back in the early 80s. And in the 90s, they had this opportunity. They were selling their Cabernet grapes to Chuck Wagner, who is a Napa winery, and Chuck Wagner was making a second label called Liberty School. So I'm really fast forwarding, if you don't know much about the wine business, is the Hope family had an opportunity to purchase a label. So we purchased the Liberty School label. We started a brand new wine called Triana Winery. So we had 3 SKUs, a Triana red blend, a Triana white blend, and a Liberty School Cabernet blend for a total volume of 1,000 cases.
Wow.
Yes.
And now you're close to 1 million.
We just sold under 1 million last year, and we're in 47 countries. Yes.
And when did that start? The three?
The 3 in 1996, and I started with the company in January of 97. Yes. And so again, I could talk for days. Austin Hope is amazing, and his family's amazing. So really, it's how long do we have? I think we have an hour. I want to get through the questions, but if we want to follow up, I can tell you lots of stories.
So when did they move from the 3 SKUs, and when did they create the Austin Hope brand as well? And what are all the current brands? Just the 3 brands.
So Austin's goal really was to make the best Cabernet. And so over the years studying underneath Chuck Wagner, he had the opportunity to make different wines. So he made various wines that he sold at the tasting room, and then he would get into national distribution. So as he was taking these into national distribution, he was listening, he was asking questions. What does the consumer like? What should we be making? So what he did is, behind the scenes, he was always making the Austin Hope Cabernet through different varieties like Liberty School Cabernet, Triana Cabernet. And then in 2015, he finished what he thought was his prized possession, the Austin Hope Cabernet Sauvignon, that we now nationally distribute in the 47 countries. And we were very, very proud to receive an accolade, and he got high scores in the top 10, and then eventually American Winery of the Year, and this is really what's put us on the map. But if you know Austin, he'll speak about Paso. So if I said 3 things about Austin, it's Paso Robles, quality, and Austin Hope.
That's great.
Yes.
And so back in 97, just so we know, just if a lot of you probably know the history of Paso, but if you don't, how many tasting rooms were there approximately around 1997?
There was probably 10 full tasting rooms and maybe 20 wineries, wineries that were small production that didn't have a tasting room. And I don't know, you guys would probably know the correct answer, but I believe we were really ahead of the times with a bed and breakfast and a tasting room and a picnic area, and the Hopes were really forethought on what we should be doing for the consumer. And then the neighbors, Janelle Ducey, they were there just as well along their sides, along with some other pioneers that maybe are no longer in business or have started companies, and the next generation has taken over.
And how many are there now? Or should I ask Carol?
Yeah, 250? 3.
Probably about 200 tasting rooms, but if you want to count brands, there's probably about 300 brands.
Okay, so 200 tastes for those of you online, 200 tasting rooms, about 300 brands being produced here in Paso. So when did you go from, the bed and breakfast, the Triana tasting room, to the vineyard property on 46 West that you have now?
Okay. So in 1998, Summerwood came over and really just wanted to purchase the property we had. So we sold that property, and then the bed and breakfast, the tasting room, and the employees, with the exception of 4 of us, stayed. The tasting room stayed with the new owner, Summerwood, and then the 4 of us went over to a production facility that we established, which was about 2 acres, now up to 20 acres. And we just slowly started building the brand. We went from just Liberty School, Triana, to slowly get to the Austin Hope brand. And in that time, it was really a hard time because we didn't have a tasting room for probably 6 or 7 years. So there was no face of the brand. And people thought, when I saw people in town, they said, well, where'd you go? You work for Summerwood now? And I said, no, I still work for Austin Hope. But it was really a pivotal time for us, because a tasting room is the face of the brand for the consumer. So people like you go out to a restaurant, you get to taste a bottle of wine, you want to come to Paso. We didn't have a home for them to taste. So it took us within about that 6 to 7 years to then decide to go into the estate property. We had to tear out some of the vineyards. So now our vineyard on the 46 West is Austin's backyard, the estate vineyard, and our tasting cellar.
Yeah, and tell me when you established the production facility on the east side, and how that's grown over time, because I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. I've been fortunate enough to have a personal tour, and it is an amazing facility.
So in 1998, we started the production, and it was literally a couple tanks, and then eventually more tanks, and so forth. We put in a crush pad. So if you don't know what a crush pad is, it's during the harvest. The grapes come in, we put them through an auger, they get crushed, they go to a tank, the tank ferments, and then they go into a barrel program. Call it a year and a half. You've got the life cycle of the grape that then turns into a bottle of wine. So that property was 2 acres, then 5 acres, and then we probably did the majority of our winemaking in the first 20 years on 5 acres. And since you've been there, we've done an expansion. We've now gone over and purchased a new bottling line and a new warehouse. So we're proud to say that we are now officially distributing our wines from our Paso Robles warehouse. And it's been Austin's dream to do everything in one house. So over the 25 years, we've made a brand, we get to crush the grapes, we bottle the wines, and we now distribute the wines directly from our warehouse here in Paso.
That's such an amazing gift to the community. Such, powerful economic development. How many employees does Hope Family Wines employ?
We have 160 employees.
Great.
I'll tell you, on the direct-to-consumer side, we have 70, and that's important to us to give unreasonable hospitality. It's a big job to work with the public and the consumers, and we want to do it right. So we have a staff that we treat them one-on-one for their tables, and we have 2 locations, but each one of our stewards takes their time and works one-on-one with the customer that comes in, because we want you to have an experience that's going to last forever. So the employees on that side have, like I said, we have 2 tasting cellars. We have the Austin Hope and Triana tasting cellar on 46 West in the Templeton Gap. And then we also have Hope on Park, which is located downtown, right on the downtown park.
Yeah.
So that's the 70 employees between those 2 locations. The rest, we're a very lean team for the amount of cases that we make. We have 35 salespeople out on the road, and the rest are the people out at the office in the cellar pad.
That's amazing.
It's a lean team.
It is.
We like it.
For that much,
Yeah.
that much production, it is.
How do you train your staff? I've been so impressed when I've gone to your winery. It was the first we ever visited here.
Wonderful.
They
Thank you.
are amazing.
Thank
Like,
you.
it reminds me, I've had the good fortune to travel a little bit, but I'm thinking Singapore Airlines class.
Well, thank you so much.
Very cool.
I have to tell you, I don't think it's just one person. I think it's an amazing team. I think Austin Hope has given the ability for us to explore, dream big, and give your best. We have some amazing team members that it's their passion, and they love to work hard. And I think when you come to work for Hope Family Wines, we look at not only the task that you have at hand, but we look to see if you feel the passion and you feel the family vibe that Austin Hope and his family give.
Yeah, definitely feel
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We're very proud.
Well, you have to be a big part of that too, Gretchen. I mean, you've been with them 28 years, grown this brand with them, and I'm sure a lot of people are there because you're such a prominent figure in this industry. So tell us more about your recent role with the Wine Institute board, and what is the Wine Institute for those of you that don't know, and tell us about that and how you're, advocating for Paso.
Okay, so the Wine Institute is a public policy company that goes around the world and promotes California wines. And I have the opportunity to sit on the board and represent California wines. So a different hat than Paso. What I do is I travel along many of the domestic areas, but mostly Washington, D.C. and Sacramento. About a month ago, I was at the White House, and I was basically being a voice for California wines and making sure we get certain taxes passed, making sure we get more direct-to-consumer shipping in states, making sure we're looking at the dietary guidelines, make sure we're working with the TTB, which is the regulation on the back of the bottle, all the government warnings. And so the hat for public policy is one side of it, but the other side is international marketing, which is basically looking at the consumer demand and basically looking at the things that we need to go moving forward. We need the younger consumer. What's the demographic? How do we make wine become prominent? We've got all these challenges right now with the canned drinks or the CBD drinks or whatever there may be out there. So I have a 5-year term that I'm sitting on right now as the vice chair, another 18 months. I'm going to do it on my term. But we are going to continue to move forward and make sure that the wine world is getting heard and that we're getting some things passed that we need to have passed in order to be a drinking responsible, but a well-given product out there because we provide a lot of jobs. We are looking at how we can continue to raise the future. I mean, if we want to look at wine, it's a biblical product that's been around forever, and so we don't want it to stop now. So my role with the Wine Institute has a couple hats, from the marketing side to the public policy side, that we will continue to be an advocate. And I do wear a hat for 1,000 California wineries, but I'll always come home to Paso Robles and Austin Hope.
Of course. So when you think about wine and what's going on in the wine industry right now, and the competition and the Gen Z maybe not being pro-alcohol or not wanting to drink alcohol and these zero alcohol drinks, what are your thoughts about where the wine industry is going?
I don't think it's going to go away. I think things are cyclical. I think there's ways to look at the opportunities. I personally look at a challenge and it becomes an opportunity. So if we have a portfolio, add a non-alcoholic wine. If we have a portfolio that's looking at a younger demographic, we make a wine cocktail. Get someone introduced to something that maybe they're not comfortable with. I know there's a lot of wellness out there, but if you look at trends and statistics, everything in the last 5 years with the pandemic really skyrocketed, and now we're coming back and we're basically back to where we were in 2018 and 2019. So for me personally, I'm not stressed over it. I'm looking at these challenges and looking at, let's think outside of the box, let's be curious, let's be innovative. And that's something Austin really does, is he's a dreamer. And some days I'm like, oh, I don't know, that's a lot, but he's pushing us and he's innovative. So at the end of the day, we're gonna keep finding some different ways, and we don't know the answer. I don't say that arrogant by any means. I just say it that we're not stopping. We've got 20 more years. We're going to be ahead of the curve. We're going to keep driving, and we're going to ask questions. We're going to listen, and we're going to learn. And maybe it's just more interviews with the next generation. And I've got 2 kids. They're 20 and 22. My son just graduated college. He's at our tasting cellar right now with 6 of his buddies from college wine tasting. So you got to start somewhere, and it's like, just pass it down, pass it down.
You got to start with the good wine.
Right?
Get them
Yeah.
trained well, right?
Exactly.
Now, just thinking about Paso and, from 97 when you finished school and to where we are now, and how much it's changed and evolved from 10 or 20 tasting rooms to 200. And you're also on the Travel Paso board. Tell us how you've seen that evolution and what you think of where we are now and where we're headed, and what Travel Paso is doing to continue us on this trajectory of being this world-renowned wine region.
I think we're just getting started. I know that Paso Robles has been recognized. I know it's a region on the map, but I think there's a lot more room to grow. And I think by being involved with the community and collaborating with different companies, businesses of all sorts, it's only getting more recognized. And we've got a lot of work to do, so we're not resting on our laurels. We're always out there. And if you've ever traveled with any of us, we do our job 24/7. So I never say I'm working today or I'm working tomorrow, but I go out to eat and I buy a bottle of wine, and you share a memory, and you're creating a memory with your family and friends. And so I believe we're just going to keep growing and doing that, and so forth.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And of course, the fair started today.
I know, I'm kind of a fair junkie.
And are you guys pouring at the fair?
We are. So Hope Family Wines is actually the sponsor of the Mid-State Fair this year. So we have 3 locations that we're involved with. The hospitality tent, which is inside the concert venue. We will be pouring a few wines there. And if you'd like to go there and take a picture, we just moved our Troublemaker. I don't know really what it's called, but it looks like a buck and bronco. Like if you were to go, it's riding the bull. What is it called? Electronic bull, thank you. So we have that in the hospitality tent. We're pouring our wines there. We also poured our wines and competed. In order to pour your wines at the Mid-State Fair, you have to do a competition. It gives you basically license to be in there. So we'll be pouring our Austin Cabernet and our Austin Chardonnay. And today we're pouring our Austin Chardonnay. This is under the Paso Robles label. Paso Robles fruit is what Austin believes in. So we're promoting Paso at the Mid-State Fair, pouring those 2 SKUs. And then the 3rd place we'll be pouring is up in the Heritage, and they wanted to pour some Troublemaker. So we'll be pouring some Troublemaker up there.
That's great. Now, as a Cal Poly student in their Learn by Doing philosophy, tell us more about how that instilled this work. You talk about your parents, but also how did that help you in this career that you've had, and how you and Austin both probably, and our others that are involved with the winery, just to get where you are from, 1,000 cases to almost 1 million?
So I think having the learn by doing education really helped us because we didn't have much. When we first started, Austin's parents were fortunate to start a project, but we didn't know where we were going. And we just learned by doing. It was, let's try this. That didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. And everybody that we hire really is that same passion and mentality that we can always have a job description and an org chart with a box, but at the end of the day, we want to find the right skill set and the right culture. So if you're willing to have that hard work, we work for each other, and there's really no, I don't want to say a totem pole, like the org chart is there, but we all are one team and we help each other out. So I think it's important that the learn by doing, everybody try hard, and if you don't do it right, we'll try again. So that's the way we've built our company from small to big. So example, my very first year in 1997, I dragged a hose, I rode a four-wheeler, I did a wedding on a Saturday night, I poured on a tasting room, and on Sunday morning, I was dealing with hair dryers blowing a circuit at the bed and breakfast, and then serving someone some eggs and bacon. So it was a little bit of everything. So, but it was really, really good for me to learn. And I think now as my position, I have great, great respect for every single person that works in our company, because when you do a little bit of everything, you know how hard it is. At little scales or large scale, it's still the same passion.
Now, as EVP, what is your role right now? Because I know you've done various roles throughout the years, but what is your focus currently?
I would say that the quick answer is I oversee the daily operations. It could be sales, marketing, direct consumer, production, winemaking. Am I a winemaker? No. But I work with the winemaking team to make sure they're getting their projections online with the sales team. So underneath me are 6 directors that oversee those departments, and I'm side by side with Austin every day. So Austin's vision, really, we talk every single day, 20 times a day, and he'll say, we need to do this, this, and this, and then we go and we execute.
That's great.
It's fun. There's never a dull moment. If I write a book, I think my title is going to be never a dull moment, but I'll have an editor polish that up.
Well, you said troublemaker.
There you
never a
go.
dull moment.
Yes.
Now, I know you're obviously, you and Austin both as Cal Poly alum, like the Cal Poly wine and viticulture program has to be near and dear to both of your hearts. So tell us more about that and how you are involved in that program.
So Cal Poly, being in our backyard, they've always come to us to help, whether we donate barrels to their wine program, whether we donate some grapes, but really we look at being mentors to the students that are coming in the workforce. So for the last 5 years, I've had the opportunity to work with the advisor and the president of Cal Poly to help write the curriculums. If you're not familiar, Cal Poly is going from a quarter system to a semester system next year. First time in history.
Yes.
This is going to be very different. What we're looking at is an opportunity to make sure these students are getting the right education before they come into the workforce. So we're rewriting the curriculum for the wine and viticulture department to make sure they know that there's different departments. So when you go to Cal Poly, under wine and vit, there might be 3 concentrations. You want to be a winemaker, you want to be management, or you want to do sales. And underneath that, there's many, many jobs. So when I go speak to the Cal Poly classes, I really just dumb it down and I talk about the 6 departments, and I want to get you excited about coming to work in the wine business. I want you to see that no matter where your skill set is, no matter what your interests are, there's going to be a job for you in the wine business. A commodity is a commodity, so if you're a salesperson, you can do that. But really, there's service, there's production, there's winemaking, there's accounting, there's all sorts of business. So at Cal Poly, the programs that they have, they are looking for the students that want to learn by doing and actually grow into the wine business. And we have the opportunity to be close to that department and actually help create the future and hopefully get some good people helping us out here in Paso.
That's great. I know the programs, like I talked to some of our colleagues that work in the CIE and the entrepreneurship programs, and yeah, moving from quarter to semester, it's a big lift. So yeah, it's a lot of work, and I guess the change is going to be some work for everyone, and we'll see how it goes. Next summer's gonna be a short summer.
It is. Well, and also Cal Poly is hard to get into.
Oh, so hard.
And so we are trying to get these students to apply. We're looking at recruiting. Right now, we're already recruiting for next year. And so applications are out and about. So another little side hat is when we're out talking, well, where do you want to go to college? And it might not be the wine and viticulture department. It could be any other department, but we'd love to get them at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. So we're always recruiting, no matter if they're 6th grade to 12th grade. We are constantly looking and we're promoting Cal Poly because ultimately it's here on the Central Coast in San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, I think it was an 8% admissions rate this last
You're
year.
right.
Yeah, it is very difficult. There were some dean's kids that didn't even get in.
Right.
Because it's very black boxed from admissions, if you
Yes.
ever are wondering.
Yes.
For those of us that work with them, there's no special treatment
Yes.
at all. What questions do you have? The audience, there has to be lots on your mind, so we'll start with Jake. You know how to catch this.
So I know the wine industry has a lot of ups and downs when it comes to economics. How did you navigate the highs and how do you navigate the lows?
I would say that I won't know the exact answer, but I'll give you the Hope Family Wines answer, is that we look at everything monthly. We looking at adaptability and change. So for us, with our bottling line right now, we have the ability to bottle on demand. So when the economics are high and low, we can say, oh, sales are slowing down. Let's really wait to bottle so we're not getting too far with long. Now, I'll tell you this, that has been in the last 3 to 5 years, we have failed. We have almost gone bankrupt a couple times. So the success that we have now has gone through some hard times, but the hard times got us to the good times. And now we're learning how to manage our daily operations.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sure.
What do you love most about what you do, and what do you love the least about what you do?
The most that I love about my job is the people. We couldn't do our job. I mean, I get happy. I'm going to give you a personal experience. I had a day, we have a manager, when you start out your day, she goes, are you red, yellow, or green? And days you're like, I don't know. I was red this morning. I came in. I had a red morning, and it was just a little bit of everything. And we were very excited, though. We had a new distributor in town that we were hosting today. And by golly, I got in there and we started hosting, and my passion came through. And it's the people that we get to see and promote and talk about our passions. So that's probably my favorite. The least thing apart about my day is when maybe someone, we always look, Austin and I are both look for solutions, and we know we can't fix everything. So the hardest part is when we try to do something or fix something for somebody because we truly care about our family. If we can't help fix that, that's really hard on us because we take it personal, because everyone that works for us is really, truly family.
So I would imagine that when you guys started back in the late 90s with 1,000 cases, you mentioned that you guys didn't really know what you were doing, I think is what
Correct.
is the words that you used. And I would imagine there was probably a business plan that existed, and that business plan has gone through several iterations over the years.
Yes.
To help you with scaling. How did you guys decide to scale from small to a large, mid-size or large winery?
So the short version is consumer demand, but back to when the Paso Robles region was created, Chuck Hope, Austin's dad, truly was instrumental in farming and all the grapes and providing grapes for the products. So as time went on, when Austin decided to take over the company, he became more of the winemaker. And Austin never said, I want to make 1 million cases. Austin said, I'm going to make the wine, and my projections are going to be on consumer demand. So we have a 3 to 5 year projection, which you always have your natural interest gain of sales, if you will. But what he did is he said, if the consumer demand is not there, I'm not going to make a product to shove it down someone's throat and we can't sell it. I'm also going to make something that the consumer likes. So we look at trends, we look at the flavor profiles, we look at our products. If you look at what Austin really likes to drink, it might not be one of our wines every day. He loves his wines, but he's making them for the consumer. So that is our business plan, which again is learn by doing. There's not a cut and dry. If I go back to the beginning, we're very, very blessed, and a lot of hard work got us to where we were because we didn't have a spreadsheet that said, do this, and do that. We really just worked hard.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Behind you.
I, let's see, I have a couple of questions. I'll ask them all at once. What percentage of your grapes come from here, Paso Robles, out of the million cases? And then when you work in your wine association across California, what's the interaction with the, say, Hope or the other Cabernet growers with, say, the Napa group and how they look and think about Cabernet Sauvignon? And then, like you were just saying right now, as Austin or as your team thinks about growing wine in this area, how do you look at just a Cabernet, which I got to tell you, it tastes really good, versus some of the other blends that come commonly from Paso Robles?
Okay, I'll try to remember all the questions. The first question I can answer, I would say 98% of our grapes come from Paso. Austin's a believer in Paso. We have 3 channels for our wine. We have our national distribution, which are 6 brands sold nationally. Then our next channel is the direct-to-consumer channel, which we sell at our estate tasting cellar. And then we have our Austin Hope Cellar Selects and our special wines we make for Hope on Park. All of those predominantly are Paso Robles. So when he's making his wines, he's Cabernet focused under the 6 brands, but with our direct consumer, he gets to do some one-off SKUs that are small production items that can be allocated to Hope on Park or the estate tasting cellar. And so those, even though they are Paso Robles, they're not maybe Cabernet, because we like to mix it up for the wine club members and the tasting cellar. So as a consumer, you always get something different. And then also the goal to his, what I call the 3rd channel going through direct to consumer, is he doesn't compete with our wholesaler. If we have a distributor out there selling to the grocery stores and the restaurants, we don't want a consumer like yourself to go somewhere and see it for a lower price at the grocery store and they're a wine club member and they're paying more money. So what we've done is we just have completely different wines that go to the wine club versus our tasting cellar. I think I got 2 out of your 3 questions.
How does the other producers of Cabernet in in Napa and stuff, when you're talking about California in general, think about it, right, Erin?
So I think people like you or they don't like you. And it's consumer demand, again, if they like your flavor profile. We work with a couple associations like the Paso Robles Wine Alliance, Paso Robles Cab Collective, the Wine Institute. We have all these associations that get to help us market our wines. So we're not doing the job by ourselves. All these associations are doing it together. At the end of the day, I'm wearing my Wine Institute hat for this answer, is we support 1,000 California wineries. We want California wines to be on the table. We want a bottle of Paso wine to be on your table. So most consumers are going to like the wine if you get it opened and they get to taste it. So if we can get a consumer to Paso Robles to have the experience that I believe all of our tasting rooms in this area do, I think we've got a new consumer, and it's not to take anyone else off the shelf, it's to consistently have the California and Paso Robles wines.
Gretchen, first I'd like to say thank you for being here. It's really great to get a behind this curtain view into such an iconic brand and fantastic company.
Thank you.
You mentioned, I think, 47 countries you're in
Yes.
internationally. I'm guessing you have distributors that manage that, but I'm just curious, how are you managing that process internally, given such a tight crew? And also, is there any foreign exchange risk, or how is it all dollar-based?
So we have a team, we have actually an export sales team that lives in Canada, Mexico, and Europe. And what we do is we use our guidance with Wine Institute. Wine Institute has a home-based person in every country. So when we work with Wine Institute, we have a foot in the door to work with their agents. So most of the other countries, besides the domestic market, have a, I guess it's called like a government, like there's not just a regular United States distributor. So you're working with the government, and the government has to approve your product. So you're working with the government, which is an agent, and the Wine Institute helps us get into those other countries. And then our sales team, the 3 export people, travel the export market, and they attend trade shows, events, and tastings to be able to do that. Now, we don't sell our whole portfolio over there. 6 of our national brands are there, but the Austin Hope Cabernet is what we focus, and the Liberty School Cabernet is what we focus on getting in all those countries.
Excellent.
I have a question, and I'll just take this one. So do you think what makes Paso and the Central Coast special is everybody is very ready to jump in. They want to help each other, the community vibe. I mean, I feel that just being here from the Bay Area in the last 4 years and what I do and the networking in my new job as the head of the SBDC, and people are just so willing to make connections. Do you feel that it's the same way in the wine industry here in Paso?
Yes. I believe we're one community. I mean, we've got a lot of collaboration from tasting rooms to restaurants to chefs to consumers. And if you come to town, not one person is not afraid to recommend a restaurant or another tasting room. And also, you'll see when we go on the wholesale side, when we're out in the market, we want the grocery store to be this wide with Paso wines. We will never knock off our neighbor. So when we're just hosting 2 new California distributors in the last week, and we were telling them, because they're not from Paso, and we said, you have to understand, we want Paso on the map, so do not knock off our neighbors. And they thought that was a little different. And we said, no, we are a rising tides. So at the end of the day, it is a community at full force and small, from your next door neighbor, the 4th of July fireworks show, to going downtown on a Friday night or Thursday nights for concerts in the park. Everybody, we are still a small town feel, and I believe that's something we have at Hope Family Wines also. We're still going to be that small town feel. So we never talk about our case volume. We are still a pioneer of Paso. We're a small family winery, and when you see the lean team that we have, we truly are a wonderful family. And I believe that as long as we can keep that passing on to the next generation and the new people coming into town, whether it's a new winery or a new restaurant or a new owner, I think it's important. And that's one of the things that we do. The first time they move in downtown, it's like when you were little and you'd bring cookies to the new neighbor. It's like we do that. So I think that's important, and I think Paso has that.
Yeah, I agree. It's just been a great community to live here and to meet so many great people. Nikki, do we have any questions online, or are we at time?
We actually don't have questions online, but I have one question. We have just a couple more minutes. I was curious, you mentioned that you studied agribusiness and fruit science at Cal Poly. Yes. What got you interested in that in the first place?
This is a funny answer. I actually worked at Nordstrom in San Jose. I thought I was going to get married and go be a buyer and travel the world selling clothes, buying clothes, making clothes, whatever it may be. And I had a very serious boyfriend at the time, and my mom said, well, this is great. You're 18 years old and life is wonderful, but you need to apply to college. I got into Cal Poly, one college out of all the colleges I applied to. My mom said, you need to go away. You need to try it once. If you don't like it, you can come home at Christmas and you can stay and do whatever you decide. I went away, never made it home. I take that back. I went home for one Christmas. My boyfriend and I didn't make it. It's okay. We're still friends. But I realized that there's a lot of life outside of being an 18-year-old in high school and seeing what you think is amazing. So when I got into Cal Poly, I got in as fruit science. It was an unimpacted major. And really, I just got in the back door thinking I was going to do something else. And I had a couple counselors come to me and say, you should really get in the wine business. I said, okay. And I was in the dorm. And in the dorm then was the white Zinfandel boxed Franzia wine. That's what we drank in the dorm. So that's what I thought wine was at the time.
When we graduated
Yes.
high school and when we went to college.
So a counselor just told me, get in the wine business. And so really I had some good guidance, and I took some classes and then got interested in agriculture a lot more and took different classes to then come out of college. And again, if you said, oh, you took some ag business and fruit science, were you going to work in the wine business? Not necessarily. I, after graduation, studied abroad. I went on an exchange program and lived in Cuernavaca, Mexico to learn the language, and came back and realized agriculture was important to me. These people do a lot of hard work. I'm really involved with immigration and all of that. My kids sent them through the dual immersion program. We are all bilingual in my family, and it's important to us to stay in California agriculture, whatever commodity it may be, but I do love the wine business.
Thank you.
How big a deal is climate change when you guys think about risks to your company?
So the question was, how big a deal is climate change and the risk when you think about your company?
So I don't know that I'm the right person to answer this, so I would love to get an answer and get back to you, but I know Austin is not too concerned about the climate change because the way we do our farming and what we do is sustainable. We look at regenerative farming and sustainability practices with our people, our planet, and everything we're doing. We're trying to always make it better. So the short version, I'm sure there's an answer out there how we can look at climate change, but for the way we farm is we're wanting to farm it better for the next generation to leave what could only be better for them taking over.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Gretchen, for being, oh, one more. Okay, go, here, Jake. Jake, go grab this one.
You said that you're a board member of Travel Paso? Yes. Just new. So I've seen the advertisements up in the Bay Area, and I was curious about your marketing and how Travel Paso figured out what marketing to go with and what was effective.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot to do that.
I believe they're looking at the demographics, and it's always revolving. In the last couple of years, San Jose, they've done the Savor of San Jose wine tasting and event up there. And so they felt like there was a large demographic there. But they do have a large following in Orange County, Los Angeles, San Diego, and then San Jose. And correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of their goal is looking at the Bay Area. Not to say that the marketing or the budget wouldn't look at other areas. I know there's a big interest in Fresno and Bakersfield. So I think it's, again, we're looking for those new consumers and who has not been exposed. We need to expose people to Paso. If they're not familiar with it, it's our job to bring Paso on the road and expose them to get them to come back and visit here and stay at our hotels, eat at our restaurants, and come wine tasting.
Which avenues of marketing have you seen that have been effective?
I don't know that I can know. Do you guys know that answer? As far as, because I'm new to the Travel Paso board. I'm looking at Paso Robles Wine Alliance. I'm sorry to throw you under the bus.
Hi, I'm Carol with the Paso Wine Alliance, and we work very closely with Travel Paso. So they have invested in San Jose being a key drive market. You could go a few hours north to Napa, or you could just come a few hours south to us, where you might get a little less traffic. And so for the past over 3 years, they have done a sponsorship with a couple of different brands up there. So for the first 2 or 3 years, it was the Earthquakes, so the professional soccer team. And that's where we started doing the Savor Paso event in San Jose, and was super successful. And now they are actually sponsoring the San Jose Sharks, the hockey team. Yeah, and so you'll see billboards, you'll obviously see at the SAP Arena, and yeah, and it's been very successful, so successful that actually we've seen visitation from that region become our secondary referral area. So LA and then San Jose. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not biased either, but I discovered coming down to Paso about 17 years ago because we liked wine, my friends and I, and we would, go to Napa, and, you have to drive through the San Francisco, and it's a big pain, and getting on the 101, and it's a straight shot from San Jose. It's much easier, and people are so laid back and so friendly here, and it's just a different vibe, and it's just, that's what is so enjoyable about Paso, and then to get to move here and have this community is just amazing. So, one last question.
Yes, I was very interested in your comment about regenerative farming, and wanted to know how may that protect your business from climate change?
I don't know that I can answer this comfortably, other than Austin's very instrumental in making things better with the soil, because the grape starts on a vine in the soil. So certain ways of farming, no longer just tilling the soil, but planting different flowers and insects, putting things in the product, in the soil to have the end product be better. And so like I said, I'm not comfortable answering the climate change. So I'd love to get an answer and get back to you on that. If you give me your card, I will, but that's the best answer I can give for today.
And thank you again for all coming, and thank you, Gretchen, for being here and bringing your delicious wine.
Thank you. Thank you.